This is a video demonstrating all of the features and changes to a multi-user virtual reality social activity space designed for older adults uh, with and without dementia. The aims of this application were to determine how social behaviors or what social behaviors emerge among uh, older adults with and without dementia within a shared virtual environment, and also testing design considerations and identifying uh, what design considerations are required for uh, a multi-user VR space for older adults with and without dementia. So, firstly, we have the uh, hand selection as part of the participant customization process. Uh, from previous testing, it was identified that the use of two controllers was deemed to be uh, cumbersome for some participants. So the functionality has been, well, the functionality was always allowing uh, both controllers to do the exact same actions, but this way participants only need to focus on one hand. For the purpose of this, we're going to use the right hand. So interaction is primarily done by using the trigger button, which is at the front of the controller. The other means of interaction includes using the joystick to turn left and right. This was included to accommodate for participants who did not have a swivel chair. So for avatar selection, participants could point at one of the avatars available and press the trigger button to select the avatar, which will appear here. Previously, participants had to do a slight extra effort where they had to push the avatar, see the avatar here, and press the confirm, but this was found to be a bit too cumbersome, and this saves a slight bit of time. Then participants can choose a conversation topic which other participants can see while using virtual reality. And then once they have established which hand they're using, the avatar that they are using, and an interest, they can enter the activity space. Uh, this is the task lobby scene. This was this was in earlier versions of the application throughout the testing, but due to time constraints was ultimately removed. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to show what was here and what was the primary purpose. The overall goal was to allow participants to familiarize themselves using the controller by performing different activities. As the instructions here declare, you can point on the ground and you can see a kind of a teleportation visual. And then by pressing the trigger button, you can teleport. So this is one of the activities which demonstrates gaze behavior, where a participant can look at the screen and a video will play. And if you look away, it pauses. Then this is a task over here to quickly demonstrate object interaction. So there's a cube here. You can pick it up using the trigger button, and then you can place it within the container. Over here is a mirror, which can allow participants to see their virtual representation. And they can see how their head and hand movements synchronize with the virtual avatar. As we selected the right hand for our chosen hand, the left hand just stays by the side. And once participants are comfortable and feel that they are ready to go outside, they were able to point at the door here, see when it's yellow, and press the trigger button to go into the activity space. The first half of the sessions involving use of multi-user VR social activity space will involve participants coming into a navigation task space. There's a board here, and they are presented with different objects to try and find within the area. This is to encourage participants to try out using the controller to move around the environment. Instructions are provided over here to help familiarize participants with how to move about, and as emphasized by there, you point at the ground, you see the teleportation visual, and then press the trigger button to move to that space. This is the first part of the environment where participants will be able to connect with each other, as demonstrated here. So, here's our other participant. Just say hello there.
Hello.
So, as demonstrated here with just that, when participants speak, other participants speak, using Photon voice chat features, you'll be able to hear them. So this will allow us to have conversations with each other, even though we are not in the same room. So I'm going to find one object here. There's one over here. I know so because I've developed the environment. When you get close enough to one of the objects, it will show an animation with a visual like that, demonstrating that you found the object. And it also shows that you found it on the big board over here. Going back to other participants, the avatar that they selected will be represented within the environment, and their selected interest will appear when you point at the interest button and press the trigger button. But also, if you press the found objects, it will actually show a comparison of the objects that I found and the objects that they found. I'm going to just show a bit more of the environment. for example, with different trees. And things moving in the water. And over here we have this space is more so utilized in the next part where there are various activities, but we do have a bit of a preview of things that participants can do now. For example, there is pebble throwing, where participants can point at a pebble, press the trigger button, keep it held, and then throw. And then the pebble will return. Also, we have flowers here, which kind of move alongside, back and forth. Showing another example of finding an object. Oh yeah, so it should also be noted that when participants move around, that their movements are synchronized. So when I move, they will also move. But when I move, they will see my movements on their view. This is another smaller activity that participants can do, where you can pick up a watering can and hold over some plants and grow them. Over here, we just have a fountain. And of course, some slight changes would have happened in later versions of the application as demonstrated here. For example, the main feature is that to accommodate for time, a timer was added later where participants would move to the activity space after about 12 minutes. And next I will go into details on the activity area. This is the second part of the weekly sessions of the multi-user social activity space, where there are multiple different activities that participants can try either by themselves or with other people. So there's 5 presented activities here: the card game, the art room, the ball throwing, the music hall, and the cinema. One thing participants can do is point at one of these buttons here and press the trigger button to immediately go to that activity, or follow the trail to naturally make their way over to that to the activities themselves. For the sake of argument, we're going to use the board here to instantly put ourselves to the card game activity. So there are 4 different tables. They all function the same, but there's different looking cards on them. So we're going to go with this one. We've got a button here to start or reset. And there's also a timer to show how long you've been matching the cards. So like before, you can point at one of the cards, press the trigger button, and flip it up. Then you or someone else can press another one and flip them up. And after a bit, it will check to see if the cards are in match. And like before, if the cards are flipped up, they will they'll stay up, and you can focus on trying to search for the other cards. So I'll just kind of quickly demonstrate as well. Someone else can try and flip over cards as well, and you'll see the updates as they flip it over. And you can just do the last two. And once all cards are matched, the time taken to match all the cards is recorded. So it's pretty much like that for the other tables as well. You can either do them on your own or with them in person. Also have quick activity boards in each activity space to quickly bring you to another activity. So now I'm going to go to the art room. So here there is a much larger artboard compared to before, and there are different brushes. So what an artist can do is pick up one of the paintbrushes, and for the sake of convenience and only using one button, I do not have the trigger button held. This object is just in my hand. It will perform different activities depending on where I am pointing towards and I press the trigger button. For example, I can point to the drop paintbrush to help paintbrush and move it. It's not perfect, but it was an attempt to try and acknowledge a way to drop the paintbrush when you're only using one button. But at the point at one of the paint pens here, you press the trigger button. Notice how the color changed. Now I'm going to go up and press the trigger button while pointing at the whiteboard, and it will actually start drawing like before. Then I release, and it's done. Now, of course, if someone else were to draw, once they release, the drawing will be synchronized. This was done this way just to ensure that there wasn't like packets of data going every second and trying to draw. That was found to cause more of a lag. This was our workaround. It's not perfect, but it doesn't like it's a way to bring in synchronized drawing, but not in a way that will ultimately hurt the experience. As before, there is the option to reset the board, but you can also press the save picture to record the current drawing. And then there's resetting the board to clear it. Next I'm going to go to the knockdown and fall from activity. This was made just a bit more open, so it'll be easier for people to walk in. still as before, there's the 3 different levels. Level 1, 2, and 3. So level 1, 4, pick up the ball, hold it, throw and release. And it will go like that. It wasn't perfect, but it was generally the idea of having physical activity. Alright, and of course as before, it will record which ball hit it and allow a score, and this can be done with multiple participants. Alright, on to the music hall. So, you're in a smaller space. There are multiple boards where you can just point at an album and start playing music by pressing the trigger button. And this, of course, like before, will be synchronized. All participants can hear this. You can also use the trigger button to adjust the volume, to increase the volume, and decrease the volume. These changes are synchronized across the network, so another participant is also able to increase and decrease the volume. And then there's the pause button. Unlike before, the use of the album covers like this just makes it quicker for participants to start music immediately. And then lastly, there is the cinema, which operates under a similar logic to how the music hall activity worked. There's the different movie posters you can press, and a clip will play. You can adjust the volume and pause as before. So pressing one here.
Down with this sort of thing. Careful now. Down with this sort of thing.
Hello, Father Crilly.
Hello, Jim.
Father
Hello.
I seen your picture in the paper.
What?
Here, have a look.
Look at you.
So it's a blasphemous film, Father.
What is?
What type of thing is it?
Mad stuff. It's very immoral, Jim.
And then you can also point at one of the chairs, press the trigger button, and it's almost like you're sitting down and watching the clip. And simply teleporting to a place outside the chair will have you standing back up again. That covers the different primary activities that were included in the activity space as part of this project. Next, I'll cover some extra features that were added with different versions throughout the development of the project, of the experiment. This is the relaxation scene, which was added throughout the duration of the study. There's really not much to this place other than it's a place where you can sit, relax, and listen to the music. You can see kind of a night-like scene here. This just lets participants sit here and take in the environment, gives them a chance to kind of wind down after the activities, and when they feel that they are ready to go, they can press the trigger button while pointing at the door here to exit the application. So, during the last week of the study, given that it was close to Christmas at the time, I decided to kind of add a bit more of a wintry feeling to the environment during the last week. As you can see, I added a particle system to simulate snowing, and I changed textures to make it indicate more like that there's snow around the place. So I'm just going to briefly show how the environment looks here with these changes. There's a Christmas tree in the middle of the place, just to bring home the Christmassy time. I also added different videos and music clips to kind of fit Christmas more. Different scenes from Christmas movies and different Christmas songs. Functionally, they are the same, but it's just to give that Christmassy feel in the end. Regarding data collection during this application, the participants' movements are still being recorded as before, the same hand movements, but in addition to that, utilizing the photon voice features, what participants say is also being recorded from their point of view. Basically gathering all of their microphone input and putting that into a separate file for analysis. Video recording is still managed through either the Oculus headset or through Oculus Castle. If there was a way to record that just to the application, I would feel that would help, as it would be easier to just put on the application, record your data, and then process it later. Well, at any rate, thank you all for watching this video.